Hello everybody and welcome to the MSCA American Ethanol Truck Series from Circuit of the Americas. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit odd. I am a bit sick right now, but I'm still powering through and we're ready to get into the starting lineups for this event. Alexander Rowe and Daniel Bouchard basically make up the same front row as they did last race. Second row will be Chris Malley making his debut, and on his outside is his team driver, Arnold von Hindenburg. Justin Zeidel and Kenny Washington will make up row number 3. Another debut driver, Stephen Thompson in the 55, and Bill Cox to his outside in row number 4. Row number 5, Kieran Pangborn and Tanya Breyer, both with some respectable starts from those two. Row number 6, Kurt Trencherman and previous race winner, Nathan Howman in the 17. Mitchell Henderson in the 88 on row 7, and to his outside is the 13 of Isaac Nichols. 14th is, and row 8 is going to be Ace Garcia, and on his outside is the 98 of Tristan Allen. Russ Kamoski and Antonino Russo are going to be row number 9, row 10, Gatlin Downey in the 57, and the 54, Fernando Olieza to his outside. Eli Bright in the 53, row 11 inside, and Zachary Fitzwater will make up his outside after a disappointing DNQ. Al Lagasse in the 3, row 12 inside, to his outside is the 25 of Jason Kranz. Ryan Kendall in the 23, row 13 inside, and to his outside, Steve Hickman. Row number 14, Jennifer Power in the 81, and the 6 of Nick Pericles to her outside. Rick Witt, row number 15 inside, and a disappointing qualifying effort by Eric Monaco to that outside of that row. Eddie Jones in the 59, row 16 inside, and Stuart Gratton, the only unsponsored truck in this race. Derek Yarworth and Zachary Fitzgerald in row 17, another debut driver. And finally, William Brock Motorsports basically paints the back row. Here are the drivers that did not start. William Brock Motorsports definitely disappointed in Eeyore Barreto missing the race. Colin Denton as well disappointed that he did not make the race, as well as Giovanni Braza. This track is very tough on unsponsored trucks, as it does not allow for very bad equipment to make it. However, we're getting ready to go green as the 16 leads them down the long front straightaway. Green flag is in the air. We are underway here at Circuit of the Americas. Two by two as they enter into turn number 2. The 16 of Alexander Rowe getting out to a decent lead over the 37 of Daniel Bouchard, who actually beat him at Texas last weekend. However, Chris Malley will also take the spot from the 37 truck, and that will be now Chris Malley's spot. 2 Dodges up at the front, and hopefully Chris Malley can get that truck to victory lane today, or at least one of his team's trucks to victory lane, as they seem to have a very bad time with finishing second in most teams. So something to be aware of, that Malley Motorsports has not won a race yet, and they seem to be running well, but only finishing kind of back in the second place, as opposed to winning the race or seemingly anywhere else. However, right now Alexander Rowe taking the field down the long straightaway into turn number 12, and we're going to actually stop the camera here to see the drivers as they come into this very sharp 90-degree bend in the racetrack. And the full field continuing to run, and oh, some contact. It looked like Eddie Jones came in to the corner a bit fast, and it just basically piled up from there. He slammed into the back. It looks like maybe the 36 truck also came into the corner a little bit hot. He slams into the back of Nick Pericles. The 36 also gets some heavy damage to the back end, and some big damage as we ride along with Derek Yarworth to William Brock, as well as his other truck in the race. That would be the 87 of Derek Hamill. So 2 trucks. So the 2 trucks that actually made it for William Brock Motorsports are heavily damaged. Definitely not what you want to see, especially as a team owner in the race. However, Farfam Motorsports owner Jeff Farfam is definitely having a heyday right now, as his driver in the 16 of Alexander Rowe is currently leading the race. Alexander Rowe's actually shown some promise in this series, as he has qualified on pole for 2 in a row, which is quite amazing. The fact that the same front row has been in for 2 races now. However, riding along with the 55 of Stephen Thompson, at least not riding along, but following the 55 of Stephen Thompson, this is his debut race as he is in his 3rd qualifying attempt. He has attempted twice now before this to actually make the race and missed both times, Texas World and Texas. Most of the part-time drivers actually did not race at Mexico City due to the fact that not a lot of teams wanted to bring their part-time trucks overseas or over the border. A few teams did, one of them being Jones Motorsports, and that was the team owner's truck. Pretty much had to do it because they have to they swap off rides between team owner Ed Ayin Jones and the 696 of Alex Cage. However, Stephen Thompson has been a little bit lacking on the qualifying board, considering that the 2 drivers whom he is battling against in, I would say, the part-time point standings, Jacob Poole and Alex Cage, are definitely farther ahead than he is, considering he doesn't have any points on the board, and he will have at the end of this race. So a decent finish for him would be crucial for his points bid, considering that he is one of the drivers for one of the more what you would say prestigious teams in the series. Dorellis Motorsports definitely backing them. Definitely trying to back their claims of being one of the better teams of the league. And the 55 is kind of tarnishing that image a little bit. But not to the extent that many people would think. It's only a part-time truck, so obviously he's not going to be as fast as the full-time trucks. However, he is second in the team standings. The top truck right now would be the 37 of Daniel Bouchard. However, this FVP truck definitely looking to try and make a name for himself in this series and possibly move up. I believe he has said that he is also racing in the Copperhead Amateur Series, so something to go by from the 55 team. We're going to ride along with the 24 of Kieran Pangborn right behind the 55 of Alexander Rowe. So he's got a little bit of competition in front of him, and currently sitting in 7th or 6th or 7th. Actually, yeah, Stephen Thompson was sitting in 6th, so Kieran Pangborn is 7th right now as they head down the long straightaway. I always say it long because it's a very long straightaway, and the drivers get up to almost 170 miles an hour and have to drop the speed. Oh, didn't drop it enough though. Kieran Pangborn making contact with the 55, as that could definitely hurt both of those trucks. Maybe not as much the 55, but definitely the 24 could have maybe just ended his bid right there with that little mistake, because already his teammate in the 36 has fallen victim to that same mistake. And so Kieran Pangborn's going to take it down the pit lane, wanting to make sure that he's got everything on that truck figured out before they send it back out. The team definitely wants to look it over, see what happened to that truck from the contact. So obviously a devastating blow from the 24 team and for Thunder Snow Racing in general. A team that is was quite well unknown and wants to be quite well regarded in this series, but so far having a lot of trouble with their 2 drivers, either getting into crashes or just plain bad luck. However, Bill Coxon, the 22 driver, a driver who has conquered bad luck time and time again. He was the first league champion, second being the 80 truck of Derek Yarworth, whom we saw was involved in that first crash. However, Bill Cox, definitely one of those drivers whom you can't count out on a majority of the races, but there's just some that he has not figured out yet. And road courses are definitely one of them. He's definitely not bad at road courses, but he just hasn't seem to figure out the finesse of running a road course. However, you can see him running very well. He's got the helmet cam on, which is going to take us around for one lap on this racetrack. A very sharp braking point there. However, not as sharp as this long straightaway into turn number 12. And we're going to watch him go through the gears down this back straightaway. And almost 170 miles an hour down to 40 miles an hour nearly, and he also nearly tacked out going down the back straightaway. So that straightaway is definitely where they set their gearing to, so that way they have enough gearing to get down it, but enough gearing to also be able to accelerate as well throughout the rest of the racetrack. And that's definitely one of the highlighting points of this racetrack. As you can see, the 22 moving over the little rubble strips down on the inside of the corner. Bill Cox, definitely one of those drivers who will take a few risks when he has to. I don't know if that was a have-to risk, but definitely could have been a risk that he could have benefited from as they're heading down the final straightaway, as this was your lap of the track, as Bill Cox took us around for one lap. Tanya Breyer on lap 15, however, will take us down pit lane and not so much the racetrack. The driver in the number 38, one of the few road course ringers, I would say. Not well versed in ovals, but definitely has some skill on road courses due to her history, as Alexander Rowe, a lap later on lap 16, will take them down to pit lane. However, something interesting, as you're going to see in a second, following Tanya Breyer coming to lap number 17, that's Alexander Rowe coming out of pit lane. And you might have expected him to be a lot farther in front of the 38. But I believe something may have happened on pit lane. The 16 truck is definitely slower, as Tanya Breyer is catching the back bumper of the 16 truck tremendously quickly. And you're going to see her leapfrog around him in this corner. Definitely a good move taken. She didn't even go to the high sign. She just kind of cut the corner a little bit through those S-turns. And you're going to see Nathan Hellman, another driver who got his start on road courses. As you can see, coming down on lap number 17, pretty much the rest of the field is going to come down, all except for Bill Cox, who will actually stay out, and he will end up leading this lap. However, watching Karen Pangborn coming around that final straightaway, and this is another bit of interesting news to see. Karen Pangborn is actually passing cars or passing trucks on pit lane. Remember, he was in that incident, as there is Daniel Bouchard. He is just coming out of pit lane. Tanya Breyer is going to get by him. And I believe Nathan Hellman as well. Nathan Hellman being one of the drivers of that same team for Dorellis Motorsports. And he doesn't completely clear him coming into turn 1, but he's definitely going to clear him out of turn 2. And it looks like the 37, something, I believe maybe the same problem that the 16 might have had, could be going wrong with the 37, as we actually got word that the 16 did come down to pit lane. And the 37 also came down behind him, as this is lap number 19. We're watching Kieran Pangborn. He is now your leader. The 24 of Kieran Pangborn, who was involved in a collision coming to turn number 12 with the 55 of Stephen Thompson, is now leading this race. And as you can see, look at the back of the screen there. That's the 38 of Tanya Breyer. That's the second place truck. So some kind of pit strategy allowed the 38 and the 17 to be able to pretty much leapfrog a pretty big chunk of the field, although they were, I believe, 11th and 12th when they came into pit lane. But considering the fact that road courses aren't necessarily known for their attempts of passing, the 13 and the 17 were able to completely overtake 10 and 11 cars, or almost 10 and 11 cars, as Kieran Pangborn was able to take over pretty much the entire field, since he had been mired at the back. However, the reason for Kieran Pangborn being able to leapfrog the entire field, he pitted on lap 9, as you can remember, due to the fact that the incident caused him to go into pit lane. So he obviously got serviced while they were repairing the damage to that 24 truck. And what that allowed is for him to have a lot more speed compared to the rest of the trucks. As they were in their fall-off points, the 24 was now on fresh tires. And he was doing exactly what he needed to do and caught the very back of the field at pit stops. So now that's why the 24 of Kieran Pangborn is now your leader. However, he might not be the leader for long, as the 24, as not the 24, the 38 and the 17 have been slowly catching him. As you can see, the 17 looking to the inside in turn number 2 for the pass attempt on Tanya Breyer, but just does not get it to stick, as Breyer will now pull away. 3 Chevrolets making up the top 3 right now, as Tanya Breyer in that 05 Silverado, the 17 of Nathan Hellman in what looks to be an 07 Avalanche. And then we have Kieran Pangborn, who's leading, who's in a hoodless 90s era 1500 Silverado. So definitely some interesting looks to a lot of these trucks, as not everyone has the same Chevrolet. Even if you have Chevrolet, it may be a completely different truck. But right now we're watching the 38 and the 17. These are the positions of second and third. You can see Chris Malley in the 29 currently sitting in 4th right now, and attempting to reel in these two in front of him. He has pretty much the rest of the field behind him, as I believe the rest of the field didn't actually change very much throughout pit stops. I believe these two actually took 2 tires instead of 4, which means that their fall off may be a lot heavier comparatively to the other trucks, which is an interesting strategy on a road course. Usually you would think 4 tires would actually be not as beneficial, especially on a complex road course like Circuit of the Americas is, with the fact that it's got a lot of tight corners, a lot of very twisting areas. But apparently the 17 and 38 have made it work, as they're currently sitting 2nd and 3rd behind Pangborn, who has seemed to make an accident work in his favor as he crosses the line. This is lap number 23 of 23. White flag was waving as he crossed the line. And this is what the hood camera is picking up. As you can see, he does not have a hood anymore. The 24 of Kieran Pangborn, definitely one of the underdogs after that incident, somehow managing to come back and lead this race by such a large margin. I believe he has a 6-second lead over second place right now. So at this point, unless something severely bad happens to the 24 truck of Kieran Pangborn, I don't really perceive anyone being able to catch up to him. And what could possibly happen is that the engine lets go, which could possibly be due to damage from that collision. Which you gotta think they have to have glossed over every single possibility of what has been going on with that truck ever since they hit the back of the 55. And you can also see the 30 the 38 and the 17 have both been caught by Chris Malley and Justin Zeidel. Justin Zeidel's one of those drivers who we actually haven't really talked about much, and he's been up at the front of the field for a majority of the race, sitting around 5th place for a while now, as the 38 and the 17 continue to bout. I believe Chris Malley was making a move coming down that long straightaway into turn 12, and I believe Chris Malley may have gotten the move, but we don't know for sure, as we're still watching the 24 of Kieran Pangborn rounding these corners, keeping everyone behind him a decent amount. And again, that's about a 6-second lead that he's holding over Tanya Breyer in the 38 truck. So you've got to understand that he's got a lot of this race riding on his shoulders. Right, he's coming around that 90-degree turn, the final straightaway before you get into that last corner. Kieran Pangborn rounding the final corner and down the front straightaway without a hood, being caught in an accident on lap number 8. Kieran Pangborn will come across the line and win here at Circuit of the Americas. And coming in behind him will be Tanya Breyer and Chris Malley making up the podium spots. And what a crazy race is Kieran Pangborn, without a hood, doing his burnouts. And what an interesting race, as you could see Kieran Pangborn, I don't even know what to say. The fact that he was able to pull off a win at a road course without a hood on the truck, being involved in that accident, is definitely something to be to give him credit for as the winner of the race. He definitely deserved the win that he gained. Tanya Breyer with a great finish. That's definitely going to jumpstart her in the standings. Chris Malley, his debut race going very well, finishing in 3rd, being able to pass Nathan Howman on the final lap. And Nathan Howman definitely disappointed, but not too disappointed in the fact that he did get a top 5 finish, as well as Justin Zeidel. Stephen Thompson also doing very well. That is a nice 6th place finish for him in his debut race. A lot of debut drivers getting some decent finishes here, as the rest of the field you can see. And 5 drivers ended up getting knocked out in that lap 1 crash. Eddie Jones, Stuart Gratton, Zachary Fitzgerald, and the 2 William Brock Motorsports trucks pretty much making up the last row and starting and finishing. Eric Monaco, also involved in that first lap crash, didn't have the truck to do anything afterwards. And then Alexander Rowe and Daniel Bouchard, who had problems after their pit stops on lap 16 and 17, both had to come in to fix whatever problems they were having, and that decimated their chances at getting a decent finish. Derek Yarworth as well, also involved in that first lap crash. Jennifer Power actually being the bottom of BCR Mercedes in this race, so obviously something to look at, that Jennifer Power may not be the best on road courses. Other drivers such as Antonino Russo, Ryan Kendall, and Jason Kranz, definitely some disappointing finishes for those trucks, as they have some decent equipment under them. However, this is the point standings and a big shakeup, with Kieran Pangborn getting that win. The 60 points gonna skyrocket him up into the 5th spot in the point standings, and the finish that Danny Bouchard had, that knocked him down to 8th and tied with Nathan Howman, his teammate, in the 17. Justin Zeidel also making it into the top 10, as Russ Kamofsky overtakes Kenny Washington by almost 10 points for the lead. Jason Kranz currently sitting in 11th. Derek Yarworth, a disappointing finish, will knock him down to 13th. Rick Witt sitting at 16th, still above that cut line as we're watching here for some of these drivers. Alexander Rowe, another disappointing finish for him, will knock him down to 19th place, tied with Tristan Allen in the 98 truck. Another driver who's also a bit disappointed with where he ended up is Ryan Kendall in the 23, currently sitting in 14th. However, BCR Mercedes is dancing in their seats right now, as Ace Garcia and Gatlin Downey will leap over that cut line. As you can see, 26th and above will be able to be locked in for Kansas. So that is a definite whoopee for them, as Tanya Breyer also locks herself in to Kansas. as well. Eric Monaco, another disappointing qualifying effort, will put him down to 21st, as well as Nick Pericles with that disappointing finish. Jacob Poole and Alex Cage now have a threat in the 55 of Stephen Thompson, as Stephen Thompson has made 31 points on the day due to that 6th place finish. That is a definite good thing for Stephen Thompson, as those guys are pretty much having a race of their own for the part-time championship, essentially, is what they're saying. They won't win a trophy, but they'll definitely get some bragging rights for that. However, that is going to do it for the rest of Circuit of the Americas. Next time, we will see you from Kansas as the MSCA trucks. We'll see you later.